In a thriving African city where gold dusted the streets, figuratively speaking, there lived Chief Dara Duro, a man whose wealth was the subject of endless admiration and speculation. Chief Dara owned shipping lines, hotels, oil fields, and even a chain of restaurants that bore his name. But beyond all of this, Chief Dara was known for one phrase that had practically become his personal slogan. "Nothing but the best for my son." He had 3 children, his 2 brilliant daughters, Afiba and Elena, and his beloved son, Kioja. He raised them abroad, shielding them from public curiosity. Few people in the country had ever seen them in person. They were a mystery, a topic for gossip. But now, Chief Dara was on a mission to find his son the perfect wife. "You must marry a good woman," he declared at dinner one evening, "one who will respect you and our name. These women abroad, I do not trust them." Kioja sighed. "Father, you have rejected every lady I have introduced." "Because they are not right for you," Chief Dara said firmly. Kioja glanced at his sisters. Afiba rolled her eyes discreetly, and Elena gave him a sympathetic shrug. "Fine," Kioja said. "I will go to our country and find a wife. But on one condition, I will go under disguise. She must love me, not my wealth." Chief Dara laughed heartily, but when he saw Kioja's serious face, he agreed. Kioja called his childhood best friend, Michael. They met in their favorite cafe in London. "Are you serious?" Michael asked, nearly choking on his coffee. "Completely," Kioja said. "You will be me. I will be you. I'll watch from the shadows." Michael grinned. "So you want me to enjoy the fame, the attention, and the beautiful woman fighting for my attention, while you stand in the corner pretending to check emails?" "Yes," Kioja said, smiling. "I want to see who is real." Afiba and Elena were the first to hear of the plan. Afiba, the elder sister, was shrewd and practical. "This is brilliant," she said. "I will personally make sure father doesn't interfere." Elena, the younger sister, added with a mischievous smile, "And I will spread just enough gossip to keep the ladies busy competing for Michael. No one will suspect you." The stage was set. Before Kioja leaves for the country, he has a quiet moment with his mother, Madame Adora. "Kioja, my son," she said softly, "go with an open heart. And remember, a woman's true heart is seen in how she treats you when she believes you have nothing to offer. If this is how you will find truth, then I will keep your secret. But choose wisely. A wife is not just for you, she is for this whole family." Her words strengthened Kioja's resolve to go through with his disguise plan. When news broke that Chief Dara's son was back and seeking a wife, the city went into a frenzy. Fashion houses launched special Billionaire son collections. Social media influencers filmed themselves giving tips on how to impress a wealthy man. At the first gala, Michael, playing Kioja, was surrounded like bees around honey. One lady recited poetry that was suspiciously Shakespearean. Another accidentally dropped her clutch bag near him so she could lean dramatically to pick it up. At one point, a young woman grabbed the microphone and started singing a love song loudly, off-key, as though she were auditioning for a talent show. Kioja stood in the corner, pretending to be Michael's assistant, barely able to hide his laughter. Later, he and Michael sat together on the balcony. "This is a circus," Kioja said. Michael chuckled. "Yes, but it is entertaining. Did you see the girl who pretended to faint near me? I almost dropped her." Kioja shook his head. "None of them are serious. They are after my name, not my heart." Then came the cultural heritage event. The room was filled with traditional music, the air rich with the aroma of local delicacies. Kioja scanned the crowd as usual, until his eyes fell on her. She was unlike the others. Her name was Bettie. She stood quietly, almost impatiently, her arms folded. Her natural hair was styled in a neat bun, her makeup minimal, her dress elegant but not screaming for attention. Beside her stood Madame Zarima, her mother, one of the city's most influential socialites, who ran charity organizations and commanded respect in every room she entered. Kioja overheard their conversation as he approached. "You are wasting a golden opportunity," Madame Zarima hissed. "Do you know how many girls would give anything to be here?" "Mama," Betty said calmly, "I didn't even want to come. You dragged me here." "Because you have no ambition," her mother snapped. Kioja smiled to himself. This was new. "Rough night?" he asked when he finally approached. Betty turned to look at him. "Excuse me? You look like someone who would rather be anywhere but here," he said with a friendly grin. For the first time that evening, Betty smiled. "You're not wrong." They began talking. Betty surprised him. She was witty, insightful, and unafraid to speak her mind. She told him she was an architect who had just started her own design firm. She loved books and preferred quiet spaces to crowded events. Kioja found himself drawn to her honesty. Over the next weeks, Kioja and Betty met often. Their dates were simple: visits to art galleries, strolls in botanical gardens, coffee at quiet roadside cafes. One day, he took her to a rural farm project his father sponsored. Betty rolled up her sleeves and helped plant seedlings, laughing as mud splashed her dress. "This is more fun than those noisy galas," she said. Kioja nodded. "Exactly why I brought you here." The more time they spent together, the more he admired her. She asked about his dreams, not his bank account. She listened when he spoke, really listened. At home, Ephiba and Elena noticed the change in their brother. "He's smiling more these days," Ephiba whispered. Elena grinned. "That means he's found someone." Ephiba began asking discreet questions about Betty's family. She was impressed by Betty's character and work ethic. Meanwhile, Elena kept the city distracted, hinting that Michael was close to making a proposal, just to keep the gold diggers busy. One evening, Ephiba sat with Kioja. "You've made your choice, haven't you?" Kioja smiled. "Yes. And she doesn't even know who I really am." "That's how you know it's real," Ephiba said softly. Finally, Kioja was ready. He invited the city's most prominent figures to a grand banquet. The hall glittered with chandeliers and silk drapes. The young ladies who had fought hardest to win Michael's attention arrived dressed like royalty. Michael took the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "thank you for honoring us. I must confess something. I am not the billionaire's son." The hall erupted in shocked murmurs. Kioja stepped forward, dressed in a striking tuxedo. "I am Kioja Duro, and tonight, I introduce to you the woman I have chosen to be my wife." He walked to Betty, who stared at him wide-eyed. "Betty," he said, kneeling, "you saw me when no one else did. You gave me friendship when others gave me performance. Will you marry me?" Betty hesitated for a brief moment, her eyes glistening with emotion. "Yes," she whispered. The hall burst into applause. Some ladies gasped in disbelief. A few scowled. One fainted dramatically near the dessert table. A week after the charity gala, where Kioja and Betty had been spotted together for the first time, Madame Adora sent Betty a polite but formal invitation to join her for afternoon tea at the Duro estate. Betty hesitated at first. She wasn't sure whether this was a friendly gesture or an interrogation, but something in her heart told her to go. When Betty arrived, Madame Adora greeted her warmly at the door, dressed in a flowing emerald green kaftan that glimmered softly in the afternoon light. "Welcome, my dear," she said with a smile that was both kind and calculating. They sat in the sunroom overlooking the sprawling garden. The table was set with delicate porcelain cups, golden spoons, and a plate of warm pastries. Madame Adora began gently. "Betty, my son thinks very highly of you." Betty lowered her gaze, a shy smile tugging at her lips. "He is very kind," she replied softly. Madame Adora watched her carefully before asking. "Tell me, Betty, what do you seek in life? Wealth? Security? Status?" Betty hesitated for a moment but answered honestly. "I seek peace, madam. I seek purpose. I want to live a life that means something, whether or not I am rich. Kioja makes me feel seen. As though I am not just another face in the crowd." Madame Adora studied her face, as though weighing her words. "Many young women have sought my son's hand," she said quietly. "But few have spoken of peace. Most speak of the house, the cars, the inheritance." Betty smiled faintly. "Those things fade, madam. Peace does not." A long pause followed. Then, Madame Adora reached out and gently touched Betty's hand. "You remind me of myself when I was young," she said softly. "Strong-willed, but quiet. Steady. Kioja needs someone like you, someone who will ground him when the storms come." Betty's eyes softened. For the first time since meeting Kioja's family, she felt accepted. "Thank you, madam," Betty whispered. "I only wish to do right by him." Madame Adora smiled and squeezed her hand. "Then you already have my blessing. But promise me something, if my son falters, you will remind him of the man he is meant to be." Betty nodded, her heart swelling with gratitude. Not everyone was pleased. Rumors spread that Betty was too ordinary, that she had no right to marry the billionaire's son. Betty faced it all with quiet dignity. "Let them talk," she told Kioja. "We know the truth." Kioja stood by her side publicly. When one jealous lady tried to fabricate a scandal, Afiba and Elena personally intervened, exposing the lie. Madame Zarima eventually came to admire Kioja for his persistence and humility. "I see now why you chose him," she told Betty. Kioja and Betty were married in a grand yet intimate ceremony. Chief Dara stood before the crowd and said proudly, "Indeed, nothing but the best for my son, and this time, the best is a woman who saw beyond the mask. True love is not dazzled by wealth. It sees the person beneath the crown. Seek the heart, not the name. For crowns fade, but love that is real endures." What do you think of Kioja's plan to find a wife? What would you have done differently? Share in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that entertain, inspire and uplift.